Welcome back to Calculus 1. We're working on problem number 5 from homework set number 5. The answers are 2 square root of 77 for your length and 34.74 degrees.
So we need to find the longest stick that will fit into a rectangular box with dimensions of 12 by 8 by 10. So let's just get a picture of what's going on here. Let's draw out a box. We'll do the best that we can, of course. It's three-dimensional, right? So so there's our box. And now if I go ahead and I put in the back side of it, there, now you can see the three-dimension part of the box. And so the best way to put a stick in here is to put it diagonally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out how far it is between this corner here and this corner here. So I'm going to draw in. Okay, so there's my stick. So essentially what we need to find is the distance of this rod, right? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out the distance along the floor of the box diagonally. That distance right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this triangle right here, because it makes a right angle down here, to use the distance formula again. So let's first find the length green here. Well, what do we know? We know that our box measurements are 12, and it doesn't matter which order you do this in, by the way, it's really irrelevant, but we'll make it 12 by 8, okay, by a length of 10. Okay, so this guy's 12, this guy will be 8, this guy will be 10. You should switch these numbers around in a little bit and verify that it is irrelevant which order I go in, because essentially it'd be just the same as just rotating the box or maybe going down a different diagonal. So what is the green distance? Well, to figure out the green length, the distance of the green is equal to the square root of 12 squared plus 8 squared. So that's the square root of 144 plus 64. So 144 plus 64 gives me 208. And so we'll see if 208 is divisible by anything nice, and it is, which is divisible by 16. So this will be the square root of 16 times the square root of 13, which is 4 square roots of 13. So that's the green length. So to figure out the yellow length, that distance is equal to the green distance squared, which we already know the green distance squared is 208, right, plus 10 squared. And so now we need to see if we can pull anything out of there. And I think 308 is going to be divisible by 4. So that'll give me the square root of 4 times 77. And 77, we can't really do a whole lot with that guy right there, okay? Because that's just 11 times 7. So this would be 2 square roots of 77. So this is our answer. This problem has a second piece, and it asks for the angle that the stick makes with the base of the box. So given that the base is the 12 by the 8, now if you put the base differently, the angle is going to be different, right? I mean, depending on you know, if you call this the base right here, then of course your angle is going to be different than this over here. So assuming that the 12 and the 8 are the base values, the question is, what is this angle right here? Well, that's not too hard to find. Let me redraw this picture out here. So it has a green base, it has a yellow rise, and it's got a blue, I shouldn't say yellow rise, it's got a blue rise and a yellow diagonal here. Okay. And of course, this guy here is a 90-degree angle. Well, so what? Well, this length right here, we came up with 4 square roots of 13. And then we know this length here is 2 square roots 77. And of course, this length here is 10. So now we need to find the angle. We'll call it theta. And we haven't done any trig yet in this course, right? But you've already taken trig. You've probably taken both the trigonometry course and maybe a pre-calculus course where they did a little bit of trig. If your trig skills are weak, this is certainly a time that you should go back and review what sine, cosine, and tangent are. So I'm going to erase this over here, give myself a little bit more room. Okay, now we need to find that angle. So it's not too bad. We can use any of the sides we want. I'm going to use these two sides. Now if I use these two sides, I have the opposite and I have the adjacent to the angle. And so tangent is the trig function that deals with opposite and adjacent. So we know that the tangent of an angle is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent. So remember, we have this, okay, so opposite over adjacent for tangent. So that implies that the tangent of theta, whoops, I don't want to rewrite the same thing again. Let's actually grab those values. So the tangent is going to be the opposite over the adjacent. Now here, we need to solve for theta. So we're going to use the arc tangent of 10 over 4 times the square root of 13. So if we go ahead and do that on our calculator, let's get a value that's in degrees. So let's make sure our calculator is in degrees, and actually let me pull up your calculator that you're probably using right now. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so here's your calculator. And so what I need to do is make sure the mode, if I'm going to want an answer in degrees, I've got to be in degrees. And so I'm going to use the arc tangent of 10, oops, we need 10, divided by, now I'm going to put this in parentheses here to make sure that I get the whole division here. So 4 times the square root of 13. And that gives me an angle value of 34.74. So our angle value, I'll write it down in here for you. Just got to rotate my tablet. So we got an angle value of 34, I believe, 0.74 degrees. So again, you could have came up with a different angle if you would have set your base up, if you would have called this guy over here the base, right? But in general, this is going to be this nice angle right here. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the other side of this angle. You should think about what that guy would be.